Pt.3.
Welcome back, everybody, to We Talk Film. I am your host, as always, Barry, joined as always by Clayton. How you doing, Clayton?
I'm always here. I'm back again. Another week, another podcast.
I caught Clayton a bit off surprise a bit. I did the intro a bit too early. I don't think he was expecting it. We're getting straight into it today. There's a lot of things we're going to talk about today, isn't there, Clayton?
There's a whole lot of things. Let's get straight into the news, shall we, Barry? Press the
Straight
button.
into the news.
Oh, all right.
Let's
Our
have the news,
top
Clayton.
story this week. Oh, yeah. Now I'm
Yeah,
right
yeah.
on it, Mr. Barry's. Our top story this week is we're getting a Highlander reboot from the director of John Wick.
Yeah,
Mr.
we
Chad
sure are.
Stahelski.
Mr. Chad Stahelski.
I like the sounds of it.
It
It's going to
sounds
have Henry
good.
Cavill. It's going to be really good. The Highlander is one of my favorite films of the 80s. It's a classic, so I'm very glad
all
that
10
it's getting...
films?
Don't talk about anything after the first one. Just the first one.
Just the first one. Yeah,
Just
no,
the first one.
it's gonna be good. Well, especially hopefully like all the combat as well. They like bring their own John Wick-esque to it a bit, like with sword fighting. That would be cool.
It would be very cool. But also, what else is cool or not cool, depending on how you look at it? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? The newest movie, Mutant Mayhem. It's coming out on digital less than a month after it's come out in cinemas. So we're going to be able to watch it on digital before we can see it, because it doesn't come out in cinemas here for another like week or two. So it's very weird.
Not until the 7th of September for Australia. So
I think it's on digital in a couple days, if it's not out already. It's very weird.
Yeah, that is strange.
Sure,
is
Mr.
very,
Seth
very
Rogen,
bizarre.
you do your film.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Because
Very
the
weird.
only other thing would be like they signed a contract with somebody to be like, hey, you need to bring it to digital, or it's just not doing that well.
Yeah.
But I thought it was doing all right if it's released over in America.
It seems like it was doing all right. I don't know. Maybe they just had some issues with Australia. I don't know. Maybe some rating issues.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because even Blue Beetle's not coming out to the 14th or whatever in Australia, and it's already been out everywhere else for the past 2 weeks. Weird. So
I'm not quite sure what to make of that. In other news, though, a TV show I don't care about. It's called The Idol, and it stars The Weeknd and a couple other people. It's been cancelled after one season.
Yes. Yeah, it had Johnny Depp's daughter in it. That was like her first ever major thing. And yeah.
Oh, okay.
I knew about the show and that it was coming out just because it was like had The Weeknd, Johnny Depp's daughter in it, yada yada yada. And then it was just like, oh, that got cancelled. Oh, boo-hoo.
Oh no.
Anyway, other news.
Disney Plus have cancelled something as well, and this is a show that I didn't know about until I had read this, and it sounds kind of cool. A show called Nautilus was entirely filmed. It was practically finished, and Disney Plus cancelled it. It was supposed to be based on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and kind of like a series adaptation of that. And it sounded cool.
Yep.
But yeah, they just cancelled it. They canned it. It's already been filmed. I don't know why they canned it, but they did.
That's a bit strange. Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Disney are being weird because Disney have also changed the release dates for a bunch of their Marvel shows. With, I think, Loki being the only one that's remained the same, still October 6th. But What If is apparently coming out Christmas this year.
Yeah.
So that slightly pushed back. Echo's January next year.
Yep.
X-Men 97's early 2024, which is a couple months after it was supposed to be. Agatha Coven of Chaos is now late 2024. And then Ironheart, Wonder Man, and Daredevil have delayed indefinitely. So we'll never see those.
No. Well, that's the thing, because I was looking forward to the Daredevil one, because obviously the original team and everything coming back for it. But it's just
for sure.
Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff going on over at Disney at the moment, that's for sure.
Oh, Disney. But in other news, this is some good news, because we got some trailers, we got some releases. We got a trailer for a movie that looks really cool. It's called The Killer, starring Michael Fassbender, and this is the
Yes.
one you're really
Yes.
excited for, Barry.
I am
Because
really excited
why
for
is
it.
that? Tell us why you're excited about this
Because
film.
it's got Michael goddamn Fassbender in it. That's why I'm excited. But no, also as well, from what I've heard about it, it's basically going to be a proper live action version of the Hitman games, but except better. And
Oh
yes,
hell
of
yeah,
course, it's a David Fincher film as well, and David Fincher knows how to make films.
he does make films. That's true. He does make films.
Yeah.
What else have I got? Oh, Killers of the Flower Moon. Another movie that we were excited for was
Yes,
originally
that's
set to
right.
come out on October 6th. It's been pushed back to October 20th.
Yes, but do you know
It's
the
just a
reason
couple
why
weeks.
for that? Okay, you
No.
don't. So the reason why it's being pushed back to October 20th, because originally it was only going to be in selected theaters and stuff like that, only for a short amount of time, and then put onto Apple's streaming platform.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
now
yeah.
they've basically scrapped all that, so they've delayed it by a couple weeks, and it's going to have a full release in IMAX theaters and everything now.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's
cool.
going to be a full
That's
movie
okay.
release now. So
Oh, I didn't read the article. I just read the
yeah, because
headline.
it's all because since Dune got pushed back and everything now, because that's delayed a whole
Mm,
bunch of like IMAX screenings for stuff and everything like that. So they thought it would be a good
yeah,
idea.
yeah.
Hey, guess what we could do now? Dune's not going to be playing. So
No, that makes
yeah,
sense. Yeah,
mm,
sure. Watch it.
yeah, no, it's going to be good. It's
I'll
going to
watch
be
it. It
good.
looks cool. Oh boy. All right. This last story. This is the last story of the week. It ties into the wacky story. The first part, then it becomes the wacky story. Okay,
Then it
Barry.
becomes the wacky story. All
So
right.
yeah, so Barbie, right? It is now Warner Brothers' highest grossing movie ever. It surpassed
Yes.
Harry
Yep.
Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, and
Yep.
it's yeah, biggest movie of the year. Warner Brothers' biggest movie ever. It's insane. It's still doing numbers, and it's said to come out on digital or streaming or something soon. So that's cool. Um,
Cool.
but this ties into into the second part, right? So there's a wacky story.
Hmm.
A distant relative of Robert J. Oppenheimer married a girl recently. Oh, not I say
Hmm.
recently. Married a an ex Boston retired Boston University professor named Barbie. So there's a woman named Barbie Oppenheimer, Barbara Barbie
Yeah,
Oppenheimer, that's
Barbara
related to the real
through
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer. Oh
And
my god. Wow. I bet you they
it's
were
really
excited when
funny.
everyone started saying Barbenheimer.
Apparently, it's been really annoying because they've they've had to clarify it a lot. She tried to book a hotel room and they didn't believe she was a real person. Stuff like that has been happening to her recently, so
But still,
that's pretty
that's just
funny.
like that is such a wacky thing to happen. Like, oh my gosh, you wouldn't have
Yeah,
thought that the movies were more related than what they already were.
yeah.
That's
It's
cool.
just the
That's really
connections keep
cool.
on coming.
The connections keep on
Keeps on
coming.
coming.
Soon we're gonna find out
Speaking of
Mattel was the reason why they built the atomic bombs.
Whoa. Speaking of atomic bombs, let's talk about Ahsoka, Barry, because we watched the third episode of Ahsoka, didn't we?
We
Woo!
did. We did. Yes. So episode 3 of Ahsoka came out this past week. After the 2-episode premiere, and I was hoping like it would have been really cool if they like did 2 episodes like per week, just because I want more of this
So
show.
cool.
I really just want to see everything now for it, because each episode is getting better. That's for sure. So far, this episode. So I'll discuss as to what happened as soon as my computer starts working. So this is part 3, Time to Fly. Hera tangles with the New Republic politics while Ahsoka and Sabine Wren voyage to a distant planet. Yeah, because obviously on the back end of episode 2, they found out where Balin and Shin and Morgan are all hiding on the big space ring thing. And they're just like, hey, we should go and investigate it. And it was basically like the biggest homage to A New Hope, that film. Well, the original trilogy in general. and space battles and Jedi's in space and everything.
Yay!
Ahsoka went out into space and she was doing lightsaber stuffs against starships, which was pretty cool. I not gonna lie, but
It
that was
was
pretty
very
cool to
cool.
see.
It was very cool. Yeah, this episode definitely felt like if Clone Wars did the space stuff from A New Hope, and I loved it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I just all of the space battley dogfight stuff. I could watch an entire movie of just TIE fighters duking it out in space above a planet. Like that's the coolest thing ever. It's so much fun. Other than that, not much else really happens this episode.
no, it
Nothing
was
is
definitely
revealed really.
a filler episode, that's for sure.
Yeah,
But it was like a good filler
whales.
episode though. Like it didn't feel wasted.
Yeah,
Yes,
there
and
was
that was another thing.
whales.
This is the
Yep.
first time we ever saw the live action porgs, whatever they call them, porgs,
Porgs.
purgil. That's it.
Purgle.
Purgils,
Purgle.
purgil,
Porgs.
porgs. They're the things in Last Jedi.
Fly now.
They fly now. They fly now. But yes, we had a really cool space
Fly
battle
now.
against Shinhati and Orok, who we still don't know who he is, and he spoke this episode as well. He's got his little like enhanced voice thing going on.
Yeah.
And then yeah, obviously as well, Ahsoka is trying to teach Sabine how to use the Force and how to control the Force and everything like
That's
that.
right.
And she's just not getting it. And it's a whole like samurai Japanese training lesson for her, like what they did for in A New Hope, what Ben did for Luke, like make him go invisible, wear the helmet thingy. But except this time, Ahsoka was whacking
True.
the shit out of her, which was funny. Um,
It was very funny,
um,
and it
yeah,
feels. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It feels like they're kind of doing the Jedi stuff just to make Sabine a Jedi, but it doesn't seem like that's gonna work. It's weird, whole like training thing. I'm not quite
yeah,
sure where they're going with
yeah.
it.
Like there's a
But
lot of
yeah,
ways that they can do, and knowing Dave Filoni, how he's probably written it, it's probably got to like go 180 reverse or something like that, just because with everything that he does, like something there's a reason behind everything he does. Exactly, and it always leads to like either
yeah.
something really good or something really sad. That's how he
No,
writes. So
if they kill David Tennant, oh no.
no, I want Hu Yang to be around
No.
forever. He needs to be, if they ever do future Star Wars stuff, there needs to be a mention of Hu Yang, especially when they're talking
True.
about
He
Jedi's.
shows up in
So,
the Ray film or something, the Ray future,
yep.
or whatever one that we're doing.
And
That could be cool.
also, there's a new addition to the cast this week's episode. They finally added in Jason Sendula, which was
Yes, he had
Kanan's
green
and
hair.
yes, and Hera's son. Yes, they obviously changed him up a little bit from the Rebels TV show.
Thank God.
Yeah, which was good. But yeah, it's still kind of weird that he's just like looks more human than alien.
Human.
But
You'd
obviously
think that
that's
they
the
just
dominant
make him
trait.
Twi'lek. Sure, I don't
So
know. Whatever.
yeah, why not?
I'm not gonna
So
get hung up on it.
and now he's probably going to become another Jedi as well because since his dad was
Yeah,
one, so it's
that
another
makes
person
sense.
that's force sensitive. Everyone's force
Yeah.
sensitive. Besides Sabine. Yu Yang's just like, yeah, you're not force sensitive. You're shit, love. You're
Yeah.
shit. You're absolutely shit, you are.
Every second Jedi survived Order 66, and they're like,
yeah.
no, Sabine must learn.
Oh, yeah. And also, Hu Yang did his General Grievous stuff against her. He's got 4 arms,
Yeah, that was
which was
fun.
really cool.
That was really cool.
Yeah. But
That
yeah,
was
other
really
than
cool.
that,
Oh,
not
well.
really much happened this episode. So
No, should we final thoughts and ratings that episode of Ahsoka and then get on to our main topic event of the night?
yes, so I'm going to give this episode an 8.5. I feel like it's keeping consistent
Ooh.
with the other episodes and everything like that. But it was just mainly like a big homage to the original trilogy or A New Hope in general. This episode, with the Clone Wars twist on it, especially like when they see the big hyperdrive thing that they're building, they're like, "Is it another Death Star or whatever?" I was like, "Yeah, that's cool."
Oh, not another one. Oh,
Not
God.
another one. No, they do that in the sequel trilogy. That's another 20 years or whatever.
Thank God. There's
It's an
no
entire planet.
Oh my God.
So yeah,
Yeah, so
8.5. What are your final
Yeah,
thoughts?
8.5. I'm gonna give it an 8. So I've rated every episode an 8 because it's been consistently good. It's been consistently fun. Yeah, the show itself, yeah, it's good. It's like the best part of Clone Wars, just carried on, continued doing more of that. So I'm
Yes.
enjoying it.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Um, just hope that the rest of the shows is equally this good, or the endings hits even harder because it's. I don't want it to drop off. I don't want it to get stale, and I don't want it to end up like Mando season 3 or something. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, because
yeah,
like, well, this week, well, episode 4 will be halfway through the season already. But
yeah.
another thing as well, for I was looking at the directors list on who's directing which episode, and Dave Filoni is actually directing episode 5 again. So you know there's going to be something special for episode
Okay.
5 if he's directing. So
We
yeah,
gotta wait 2 weeks for that one.
we got to wait 2 weeks for
Oh,
that
I'm
one.
excited. Very
Mm. And do
excited.
you know what
But you know
else
what
I'm
else I'm
excited for?
excited for? What? What? Oh,
Whoa!
we
We're
said the same
basically the
thing.
same guy.
Thanks. We finish each other's
uh,
sandwiches. Yeah.
yeah,
Love that.
definitely.
All right, what
So
are we
what are
doing
we
tonight, Barry?
doing, Clayton? Oh, what are we doing? We are, well, recently, well, a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, we did our favorite films, well, our top picks from the 1960s. And we did basically what we call a draft pick. So basically, we select other movies that from one another, and essentially we find out who has the best list. And then we put that to you, the listeners, on who has the best list. And hopefully, the people this time actually hear these lists and let us know what they think of these lists. But this time, we are talking about the 1970s, where, yeah, a lot of good films did come out, and I've
Yes.
been nothing. All the films I've been watching for the past week are from the 1970s. So yeah, I've been keeping
Oh,
consistent.
nice. That's better than I've done. I haven't watched any 70s films to prepare for this podcast. And
Disappointing.
but that's okay because my list is longer than I had for the 60s one. Because
Oh,
I've
that's
seen a
good.
lot of these movies.
Mine's
Yeah,
actually
so I feel
shorter.
like we're ready.
So
Really, I feel like this is going to be a good list though because some of the greatest films ever made came out in during the 70s. You know, this is post
oh
Vietnam.
yes.
This is changing in society. Cinema itself was changing as well. We were getting very different films in this decade than anything else in history. It was definitely a very somber period, especially for
Yep.
Hollywood and America. Even Australia, because this is when Australia's cinema started picking back up after the big drought that was the previous 40 years. So
Oh
we're
yeah.
seeing
Yeah. Yeah.
some Australian films. I've got some Australian films on my list as well. So
Well,
it's
that's
going to
good
be
because I thought you would do
awesome.
that, so I left them off my list intentionally. So
Yay! What? Good job, Barry. I left ones off my list that I knew you would think about too.
yeah, well, a lot of mine I feel
Yeah,
like are like really the big common ones from the 70s. There might be one or two I will
true.
say that people might not have heard about, hopefully, but yeah,
Wow.
we'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
Very cool. Well, shall we get into it, Barry? I'm going to flip this guitar pick. Do you want the side with the pattern or the side that's blank? Which one?
The blank side.
Let's see. Ah, it fell off my chair. It's the blank side. You want to go first or second, Barry?
I will go second this time around, good sir, because I think I went first last
Oh,
time. I can't remember.
I have no idea. I do not know. But what I do know is the film I'm going to pick first. So you're giving it to me. I am going to. Where is it? What year did this one come out? Yeah, I'm
What
going
year
to
did it
grab
come out in?
film from 1973. This is a film that I know
Ooh.
you love very much, and it's one of like my favorite films from the 70s that's not set in the 70s. It's called
Like a lot of
American
70s
Graffiti.
films.
Yeah, it's called
Yes.
American Graffiti. And it's done by George Lucas before he did Star Wars, and it's such a great film. It's got Harrison Ford in it. It's got half of the cast from everything after that.
Yep.
You know,
Yep. Yep.
so many people are in this movie, but
So many people in that film.
it's a really fun end of high school in the 50s. Lots of cars. You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
all the dudes are trying to get girls. It's so much fun. The soundtrack to it is really great. I really recommend it anyone hasn't seen it because it's a classic film. It holds up
It
really
is a
well too. I
classic
watched it
film.
recently.
It does. And with, yeah, a
Yeah,
pre Han Solo Harrison Ford as well. Interesting enough. And he looks so young in it as well. Like I was watching,
I
well, I just saw
know.
like little clips of it today when I was doing my list and everything like that. So he looks so young compared to how he looks in Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Well, he was like 32 or 33 in Indiana Jones, I think. He was 30s in that,
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least. So yeah, it's cool to see him young, and it's just cool to see him in this movie. It's a really fun. It's just a classic movie. It holds up really well. It's really well written too.
Yes,
Which yeah,
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
cements George Lucas's cinematography prowess, I guess, in this
Yep,
movie.
yep.
So Barry, what are you gonna follow up American Graffiti with?
So I'm gonna follow up American Graffiti with it's a film I actually only just watched this week, and I've heard about it for years and years, mainly through an Archer joke, because of one of the actors in it. But yeah, my number one film is going to be Deliverance in 1972 with
Ooh,
John
yes.
Voight and the other guy.
Yeah, man.
I always
Yeah, what's
forget
his
his
name?
name.
Uh,
Um,
over on my shelf.
what? Yeah,
Oh, Burt Reynolds.
yeah. Burt Reynolds. That's it. Yeah, Burt Reynolds.
It's like, man,
Yeah. Like I've heard about it for years. I know like scenes from the film and everything like that, and like comedy shows like referencing it all the time. Because yeah, it was quite like an influential film when it came out back in the day, and it's quite a like harrowing film as well. Like there's a lot of like oh shit type thing. Like no one
yeah.
did this type thing back then. But yeah, no, it was an interesting film to actually watch. And now I understand the
Yes.
reference from Archer. So thank you, Archer, for making me watch Deliverance.
Oh, for sure. Deliverance it's an insane movie. I've had it on my shelf for a while. I've watched it a couple of times. It's just so different as a movie. It's very in your face
Yes.
and it's crazy. And it makes canoeing very scary. Like if you ever go
Oh
canoeing
yeah.
after watching Deliverance.
Yeah, no, I'm not
And
planning on
and
going canoeing
banjos,
anytime
yeah.
soon now. So yeah.
It's a crazy film.
It's a
Yeah, it's
crazy
definitely
film.
a hard watch.
Yep.
Not for everyone, that's for sure.
No. No.
But it's really well done. It's just such a good movie. It's like it's a hard watch, it's hard to get through.
Yep.
It's worth it if you stick with it, I think.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's
I hope
definitely
so.
like one of those films like depending on like how much of a film geek you are and everything like that, just because how much it's referenced in like later films and stuff like that, especially the whole
Really,
like
yeah.
banjo scene as well. Like I didn't actually realize that was from this film until I started watching. I was like, oh, they reference that in like so many comedy films.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So yeah,
Dueling banjos moment is it's
dueling
crazy.
banjos
And
moment.
it's a movie where nothing really happens for the first hour and a half too.
Yeah.
So
Well, it was just meant to be like a camping adventure, and then something goes horribly wrong, and it
hillbillies.
goes wrong
Hillbillies,
really,
man.
really bad. Really, really bad.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah. So don't go camping in that river. Well, it's not
Yeah.
there anymore, so we're fine.
Go canoeing. Yeah. Oh boy. Oh, Deliverance. That was one I wanted. I was gonna grab that eventually. So
Ah,
I'm
it's
upset now,
probably
Barry. You've
yeah, yeah.
ruined my mood.
Well, there was another film I could say that I know you definitely want. That I'm not gonna say, but I might,
There's a
depending
lot
if
of
you don't say
films.
it.
Pending. We'll see how we go. All right. I'm gonna grab a little different. This is also a film that's not set in the 70s. At least I don't think it is.
Ooh, okay.
It's from 1974 and it stars a Jack Nicholson as the title role. It's called Chinatown.
Good old
Do 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 do
Chinatown.
do. Writing it down. Yeah, man. It's one of probably the greatest like noir films of the 70s. It's a cool little a crime thriller where Jack Nicholson's running around the streets looking after this girl, and there's
Yep, yep.
stuff happens, and there's wacky reveals, and it's really fun. It's a fun, clever movie, and yeah, you get to see Jack Nicholson get beat up a lot, which is great.
Yeah, yeah, no, you do. And the whole knife flick scene, which if you watch Adam Savage's tested channel, they actually did like a behind the scenes of how they did that scene and everything like that. It's all right. He didn't actually get cut with a knife. He's fine. He's fine. But yeah, no, it is like you said, a very good noir film. I would say probably one of the best noir films that was made back in the day, because you don't see too many of them now, or really very
No,
rarely at all now, I suppose.
we haven't really
Um,
seen any since. I feel like Chinatown's
yeah,
kind of the end of that era because
that
it's
era.
coming out of the 60s noir sort of stuff. This was very much the end of it.
Yep,
So
yep.
I'm very glad to grab Chinatown as my number two.
Ooh, okay. Well, if that's going to be your number two, I'm going to follow it up with my number two, also starring Jack Nicholson, which is probably one of my favorite acting performances on screen. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, 1975.
Ooh.
So yes, that came out the year after of Chinatown, because back in the 70s, Jack Nicholson was on a roll, and also the 80s as well. Like he was good.
Yes, for sure.
But yes, this is an absolutely amazing film. It's basically about this guy who goes into an insanity ward, and you know gets up to hijinks and everything like that. It's like, was he actually insane? Yada yada yada, or is he just faking the entire
I don't
time?
know.
But the other thing as well, this introduced the great Danny DeVito. Also, this is his first ever big film appearance, and also Christopher Lloyd, Dark, is in this film.
Yeah.
This was their
It's
first ever
great.
big film, and yeah, it's such a wacky, interesting film to watch. And I'll go back every now and again and watch it and stuff like that. Because yeah, it's just like of the ending of it, like I did not expect that to actually happen.
Well,
Spoilers for those who haven't seen
wait,
1975,
hang on. I
One Flew Over
haven't
the
seen
Cuckoo's
it.
Nest.
I
You
haven't
haven't
seen
seen
it.
it?
I haven't
Okay,
seen it.
I
No,
won't
don't
say
spoil it
anything
for me,
then.
Beck.
You have to watch it because it's actually based upon a
I
book
will.
by Ken Kesey, which then got made
Ooh.
into a stage play, which what Danny DeVito was part of. And then when they wanted to make the movie version, they asked everyone that was on the stage play, be like, "Hey, do you want to be in this film?" And so that's how Danny DeVito got into it, and most of the cast, I'm pretty sure.
So
So
cool.
yeah,
I will
but
definitely
yeah,
check it out. It's been on my list for a while. I just
and
haven't
also
gotten around to
produced
it,
by
Barry.
Michael Douglas as well. He was a
Oh,
producer
okay.
for it. So
Sure.
sure,
Why not?
why not?
Why not? All right. Now this is where it gets tough. Number three.
Number
Okay.
three.
All right. I'm gonna grab the big Australian film on my list from 1979. A little film called Mad Max by the director of Babe 2, Pig in the City. This is
Yeah, very small
probably
film.
slightly better than Babe.
Just a bit, just a bit.
Oh, this is awesome. This is one of the greatest Australian films ever made, Mad Max. I mean, I've been to the museum where they filmed the second one and the first one, and I've seen
Oh,
all
that's
this stuff.
cool.
It is so cool, and the franchise still holds up well. The movies themselves hold up well.
Yeah,
Mel
yeah,
Gibson, it's his best performance in anything ever, and he doesn't say much. He's just kind of angry the whole time,
yeah, yeah.
and it's
Well,
really
that's the
cool.
thing, like with Mad Max, because I actually didn't see the first one first. I
Oh,
actually,
okay.
yeah, was the first introduction to that like whole mythos was actually the second film, which I really love. The second film to me is absolutely amazing. And then yeah, it wasn't
Yeah,
for
the
like
Road
a
Warrior.
couple years later until I actually realized, oh, there was actually like a first one to it. And then yeah, I watched
It's crazy.
Mad Max, which was called something else in America. I can't remember what it was.
It was
Uh,
it was just called The Road Warrior because the second one came out first. So it was just The Road Warrior and then they got Mad Max after that.
okay, yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
And then
there's
yeah,
that. But
watched it. And then I
yeah.
was like, oh, so that's the origin story and what happened and everything like that. And it's such like a
Yeah.
low budget film as well compared to the second one.
Yeah, for real. But it's still so good. It holds up really well. I went to the museum before I'd seen any of them. And then
Yep, yep.
when I got back from that holiday, it was like, "Oh, now we have to watch the Mad Max movies because you went to the thing." And I was
You
like,
got to
"Okay,
watch
cool."
them all.
Yeah, so I watched all of them. Thunderdome less enjoyable than the others, but they're
Yep,
good.
yep, yep.
They're all good.
They're
So yeah, I'm
all
grabbing
really
Mad
good.
Max as my number
Number
three.
three. Okay. Cool beans. Well, let's change it up a little bit. We've been talking about very, very serious type films. So my number 3 is going to be a small little film starring I forget his name. Why am I drawing a blank with so many actors and so many things today,
Yeah,
man?
man.
The film is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, 1971. The
Gene Wilder.
original Gene Wilder. That's it.
Yeah.
Gene Wilder. But yes, this is the only like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie you should ever watch. Don't watch the Johnny Depp one. Don't go and watch Timothy Chalamet's weird one. That this is meant to be
Yeah.
it's meant to be an origins to this one, which is just even more strange. But yes, no, I was
No,
obviously
man.
this is like as a kid, got sat down, forced to watch this, and I absolutely loved it. And especially like Gene Wilder's character in it. He's just was an amazing actor for his time. He did a lot of great films
Yeah.
back in the 70s. And yeah, it's just such a magical, wonderful film still to watch, and quite like haunting as well. Like there's that whole boat scene where they're going through the dark and stuff like that. I remember being terrified as a kid every time that scene came
Oh,
on.
yeah.
But it's cool to go back and watch now as like film students and everything like that, to see how they did it all and stuff like that. It's really, really cool.
Yeah. It's a really impressive movie. I mean, everyone loves that Willy Wonka movie because it's insanely it's just well done, and it's
Yeah, yeah,
intriguing, it's terrifying. The whole thing's like eerie.
yep.
You want to be there sort of thing. It's unspeakable how much of just like a classic masterpiece this is. Um and yeah, they should never have remade it. So
No, no, definitely not.
oh boy. All right, now you're throwing it back to me for my number 4.
Your
Ooh,
number
ooh, ooh, ooh.
4.
I'm gonna follow up Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with another film starring Gene Wilder. Another fun little film.
And probably
Where
his best
instead of
film that he ever did.
yes, not a chocolatier, he is a cowboy. It's called
Oh,
Blazing
yes.
Saddle. Oh
Blazing
boy.
Saddles. Oh my gosh, we should dedicate an entire podcast about this one film.
Oh, we should. So good,
Yes,
man.
yes. Has to be one of the best comedy films, if not one of the best films. Well, it's my favorite Mel Brooks film and Gene Wilder film that they did
Oh,
together, for
that's
sure,
true.
for sure.
Yes, yes, yes.
Just the level of jokes in it, the level of detail, the level of absurdity that's in it is just
I love this film.
amazing. And this film came out in the 70s as well, and the stuff they could get away with, I was like shocked.
It's crazy. No, this whole film,
Yeah.
it's so funny. It holds up so well. The jokes are always going to be funny.
Yep. Yep.
Mel Brooks makes such funny stuff. This and
Oh
Spaceballs
yeah.
are two of the best comedies ever made.
Yep. Yep.
And yeah, this holds no bars. Gene Wilder's awesome in it. He's so funny. Such a great comical actor because he's just like a quirky little dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he kills it in this. Every other actor in this is great. The ending of this movie is probably the most insane ending of any movie
Yeah.
ever.
Yep. Yep.
Spoilers for Blazing
Uh
Saddles. They break the fourth wall in every way possible. It, it's so crazy. It ends with them just getting into like a Cadillac and driving off into the
that's
sunset
right.
as they leave Hollywood. So good.
So
Oh,
good. So good.
oh man, I love that movie so much, Barry. What are you gonna follow up that one with?
Oh, that's a hard one to follow up with. So are we is this is number 5 now. We're halfway through, aren't we?
No, this is
No?
your number 4.
This is my number 4.
Not quite, not quite.
Okay. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. So my number 4, let's bring it down just a little bit and go to the year of 1976, where a
Ooh.
film starring Robert De Niro and directed by Martin Scorsese came out called Taxi Driver. This has to be, I think I've said this before when we did like our most inspirational movies and stuff like that. This is definitely high up there on my list. This the aesthetic, the feel, the tone. This is basically the 70s films like version of Driver in a way. And yeah, it was just really
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I
the
suppose.
outstanding performance of um Robert De Niro. I think this is the film that made him really big. That everyone like realized, oh
Talking
wait
to
a
me?
minute, this guy's
You talking to me?
yeah, quite a good
You
actor,
talking to me? Yeah.
because he already did like a few movies prior with Scorsese already. Because they're basically like best pals. They grew up together and everything like that. And so like,
Yeah.
hey, let's do films together now. Because I also have another film they did together that came out before this, which is still really cool, but not as good as Taxi Driver. Taxi Driver essentially definitely just sets the tone of what I like in the aesthetic and the appeal, and also was the major inspiration behind the Joker film. Todd Phillips' one in
Yeah.
2019. So
Easy. I haven't seen it.
yeah,
It's on the list, Barry.
yeah, yeah.
There's another one that you've told me to watch hundreds of times, and I'm like, I'll get to
Oh
it.
yeah.
I'll do it.
Well, that's the
We'll
thing,
get to
especially
it.
because since you love Driver so much, I think you would really,
I
really
drive.
love this. It's yeah,
Dude,
you drive a lot, you do.
I drive.
And it also has a
I
young Jodie
taxi.
Foster in it as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
I think she was like
She's cool.
16 or something in this
Oh,
film.
wow.
And it's quite weird as well because it's just like stuff that happens and
Bit
who she is.
weird.
She might have been 18. I'm hoping she was 18, but I feel like there was a serious case back
I
in the
don't
day for
know.
this film where she was like really young.
Yeah, you might be right. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah. Oh
So
well.
that's my
That
number 4.
that's your number 4. All right, throwing it to my number 5. Halfway there. Oh, for me this round. Ooh. I'm gonna grab. I'm going to go to the year 1970. Can you guess what it's gonna end in? Probably not. I'm gonna go 1978 for this one, and this is another film with Mr. De Niro in it, as well as Christopher Walken and
Yep,
a
yep.
bunch of other people. It's called The Deer Hunter.
Yes. Yes, it is. And you've only just
Yes,
recently watched this as well.
I have on
Yeah.
my list because it was really good.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. I went into this film not knowing what to expect and was kind of blown away just by how old it was in its like creative choices. The
Yeah, yeah.
performances in this are really entertaining. Everyone's good in this. There's not a bad character, and considering it's
No.
3 hours of people talking for the most part, it's
Yep.
it's weirdly gripping. Like the first
Well,
hour and a
that's the
half of this movie is just people dancing
is
at a
just
wedding.
yeah. Yep, that's it.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
and then
wedding
all of a
scenes back in
sudden
the
it's yeah,
70s.
that's true. And then yeah, it becomes this whole like game of Russian roulette and PTSD amongst these dudes, and it's really well done. Um, and yeah, there's nothing else like it really. It's kind of stands on its own as its own little piece of cinema history, The Deer Hunter.
Yeah, well, that's
So
the thing because it had like 3 of the biggest actors in Hollywood. Well, Christopher Walken, Meryl Streep, and Robert De Niro in it. This is what kind of like started off a lot of their careers in the 70s and stuff like that. It was just like doing films like
that's my number
this.
5.
Your number 5. That's a good number
Is
5.
alive. What's your
Number
one?
5, Johnny 5 is
All right.
alive. So my number 5 then, it's a bit interesting film.
Okay.
Ooh. Yeah, well, not so much interesting. It's probably one of the best and only like movies I can go back and watch just because of the actual music to it all and everything like that. So my number 5 is going to be the Rocky Horror Picture Show. 1975.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
You probably didn't expect me to pick that, did you, Clayton?
No,
I
I
am
didn't
a
because
massive fan of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, man. Tim Curry, Richard O'Brien, Susan Sarandon, Meatloaf is in this, and just the actual score
Meatloaf.
and everything. Good old Meatloaf. Yeah, I actually like have the soundtrack on Spotify, and every now and again I will listen to it because I actually really,
Wow.
really like it. So yeah, and it's just like it's such a wacky
Wouldn't have picked it.
film as well. Just like the whole setup of it, the theatrics of it all, and you know, it's dealing with other stuff besides not just like what you expect it would be type thing. So yeah, very, very cool and interesting film. And yeah, definitely a must watch for people who love theater, music based stuff, and everything like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's definitely an over the top experience, that's for sure. It's people seem to love it. I never got into it. I always was kind of like not for me, but
Yep, yep.
sure you can pick it.
Yeah.
Cool,
And I'm
frees
just
up
looking at
the ones I want for me.
box office of it now, which is
Yeah,
ridiculous
yeah.
because the budget for it was 1.4 million. The box office it's made is 226 million.
Whoa, okay,
Like,
maybe.
damn.
Oh,
oh,
yeah, that's
oh,
insane.
that
Uh,
is insane. So
that
yeah,
is
good on the people that
crazy.
made
All
that.
right.
Yeah, Jim Sharman and Richard O'Brien. Yeah, good job. They probably
Wow.
made a shit ton of money.
Okay.
Well, it's probably the reason why a lot of the actors in that and those writers probably did nothing afterwards because they just made money off this one film.
It's true. I mean, Tim Curry went and played a clown afterwards. That
That's
was cool.
right. He did that. He did the thing.
And know it. And he was the bad guy in the Fern Gully movie. Tim Curry was the voice of the pollution
Yes.
monster. That was cool.
Good old Tim Curry.
That's what I know him from. Yeah, he's fun. Sure. All right. So I'm gonna follow that up with my number six. I'm gonna pick a western. This is the first
Ooh.
western on the list. I'm gonna
Yep.
pick one from 1976 called The Outlaw Josie Wales.
Yeah.
Star
Do do
Yeah, starring
do.
Clint Eastwood in he directed this one too. Yes, I think.
Yes, he did.
That's the
I know it's the wrong film, but
not quite the right movie.
I
That's
had it on
okay.
the soundboard from last time.
Yeah, I think this was his directorial debut. Was Outlaw. It was either the
Okay.
first or the second one.
Yeah, it would
The
have been
first or
around that
second movie
time
he
where he
did.
was just like, I've done enough of listening to other people. I'm going to start making my own films and then like winning
Yeah.
a lot of Oscars and awards and everything like that following.
And this
So,
movie's
yeah.
great.
Oh, yeah.
This is like my favorite western from the 70s, apart from maybe Blazing Saddles. But
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
it's such a like a grounded, mature story. I mean, it opens with his family getting killed, spoilers, and then the whole movie's him
Yes.
running around like the war and all of this other events that are happening. It's
Yep,
an
yep.
insane movie. It's very, very different to the other westerns that came before it, and I love it. It's really good. It holds up really well. Most of these movies hold up really well, so it's if you like westerns, it's definitely one for the list. And it's also one that not too many have seen because it's not the big
Yeah.
name.
It was his seventh movie he directed.
I was close. I don't know why I
You
had
were
the
in the
idea it was
10.
his
You were in the
first.
10. Yeah, his first one was in 71 called Play Misty for Me. His second
Okay, I
was
was.
Dirty Harry.
He directed that?
He directed that.
Oh, okay.
And
All right.
then, yeah, he did another one. And then his other Western one was High Plains Drifter.
Yes, which is also a good one. But I
Yes.
know I completely forgot about Play Misty for Me, and I didn't know about Dirty Harry that he directed that. So that's yeah, sure, cool.
Yeah, so you're in the top
Can
10,
trust the
or top
facts on
7.
here.
You're in top 7.
Yeah, we make up and take notes. All right, Barry, what's your number six?
My number 6. Ooh, okay. I'm just gonna bring it back to Scorsese, 1973. One of their first films they did together. Well, I think the first film they did together. I'm just going to make sure upon that. But starring Rob De Niro, Harvey Keitel, Amy Robinson, Mean Streets. Yeah, basically 1973. A slice of street life in Little Italy, and basically criminals, gangs, all that
Yeah,
type of fun stuff. Yeah. So it's a good little film. Not as good as Taxi Driver, and definitely not as good as his other films like Goodfellas and everything like that. He later on did, but like
yeah, yep.
73, they would have been probably around our age when they did this. It's like a very
Yeah,
good,
wow.
yeah, like first introduction to like to see his other films to eventually what he would do after all this. And it still like kind of references back to this one film that he did, well, Mean Streets, like kind of started it all in a way for him. So yeah.
It's very cool. It's another one that I haven't seen. It's another little gap in my 70s film history.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
uh, check it out eventually. It's definitely on the list. People seem to really like it. Whenever you hear people talk about best films of the 70s, it usually comes up, and it came
Yep,
up today. So
it
sure,
did
I
come up
was
today, and because
did
it's a
come up
Scorsese
today.
film, so I have to say
That's
it.
true. That's true. Barry's a Scorsese fanboy for real.
Just a
But
bit.
just a little bit. I'm gonna completely pick something different and random, and something that you would never have picked. It's also from
Nice.
1973, and this film, a lot of people don't know it exists. A lot of people hear this and think, "Oh, you mean that TV show from about 5 or 6 years ago?" I'm talking about Westworld.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That's right.
Oh my god.
Good old Westworld, the
It
movie.
The movie. It's far from the best movie ever made, but the premise alone for 1973, it's so awesome. I
Oh,
I
yeah.
genuinely love it.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely doesn't hold up as well. It's a little goofy
No.
at times,
No.
but it's so
Um,
cool. The cowboy dude in it, the evil cowboy, his performance in this movie makes it for me, like, alone. It's
yeah,
like if you
Yul
RoboCop was a
Brenner.
cowboy. It's so awesome. Oh, Brenner.
Yul Brenner.
He's the cowboy. And no, it's
He's the
really good. It
cowboy.
there's Romans and other things that happen in it. It's really cool. And it spawned the whole like kind of like stuck in a video game sort of genre can kind of be toned back
Yep.
to this. Even though it's like an amusement park, it still kind of fits that finding thing, and a lot of things have taken inspiration from it. And then of course it got turned into a television show that won awards for a while, so
Yes. Yes, it did.
it's
Because that's the
obviously
thing
good
as
enough for
well.
that.
Have you seen the sequel to Westworld that came out in '76 called Future
Oh
World?
god, no. Oh, I haven't.
Okay.
Oh
So
god.
yeah, no. So they actually did do a sequel to the original Westworld film called Future
Oh,
World,
why? Is it good?
with Yul Brenner back in it, and it's worse than the original, but not as not like a gradual like we're talking like probably just like half a star or something like that. They're probably about this on the same level as one another. So, but yeah, this
Okay,
the
I might have to
idea and the
check it.
concept of Westworld is a lot better done. And then it was like, oh, let's kind of somewhat continue it a little bit in Future World. Where's the future?
I will.
Because it's Future
Oh my
World.
god. See, I didn't know the sequel existed, so sure. All right, Barry, what's your number 7?
My number was it my number 7 or my number 6? I can't remember.
7. 6 was Mean Streets, so this is your number 7.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
So my number 7 is a film I would say you haven't watched. A lot of people probably haven't watched, but I know James Gunn has watched it because he put it up on Twitter, and this is the whole reason why I watched it. And I actually really love this film now. It is a film that came out in 1973 called The Long Goodbye, which is basically
Ooh,
a
no.
guy. Philip Marlowe is a private detective, and shit goes down like they always do. And it's like one of those things again, like
Ooh.
Chinatown, very noir type film. Very violent, like very very violent at times. And he basically needs to help like an old friend out in a jam, and then he's like implicated for his wife's murder and everything like that. And yeah, it's kind of a cool little film that not too many people know about, and actually stars
Oh.
Elliot Gold. I think it's one of his. Well, it was like his big first ever film type thing. Who's the actual like old guy from the Ocean's franchise, who I'm pretty sure has
Oh,
passed
yeah,
away
right,
now,
right. Yeah, see,
like
I
recently.
don't know about this. I don't know anything about this film. I've never heard of it, so I'm
Yeah, no,
definitely
it's
gonna
very
check
like
it out because
under
it
the
sounds cool.
radar type film. But yeah, like once you
Yeah,
watch
wow.
it, you're just like, oh, this is actually like a really good film.
I love that. I love movies like that. That's
Yeah.
that's cool. I will check that one out.
Hmm.
Man, all right, number 8. Okay. Oh, this is where it gets a little tough. Okay, I'm going to go to 1973. I'm going to grab a Prison Break film.
Another
Well,
Prison Break film. You picked like 3 of them in the
oh,
60s. I feel like
oh,
you
there's
like Prison
some in
Break
the
films.
70s that I want. Usually really good. And this is no exception. This one stars Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman. It's called Papillon. It was remade a couple of years ago with Rami Malek,
Yes.
which the
Yep.
remake
Yep.
was kind of eh. I mean, it was alright, but
Well,
it
the
doesn't
remake is the only
hold.
one I've seen. I still need to watch the original.
Yeah, see? I picked a movie Barry hasn't seen. This is insane.
Yeah.
So no, Papillon. The original's so much better. It's so good.
Yeah.
I think it's quite a long movie, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's really entertaining.
Well, that's the thing, 'cause especially since it's got Dustin Hoffman in it as well. I'm a bit more intrigued now.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
great. Oh man, he kills it. Yeah, Rami Malek's. I think he's playing the Dustin Hoffman character.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Oh, okay. And then
and
Charlie
yeah, he
Hunnam,
holds.
yeah, Steve McQueen.
Yes, yeah.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
that. But yeah, no, the original, it's so good, man. They should never have remade it because the original's close to being a perfect movie in my
Yep.
eyes. So yeah, I'm grabbing Papillon. Do-do-do. What are you
Good
following that
old
up with, Barry?
Papillon. For my
For number
number
8.
8. Okay. My number 8. I'm going to have to pick a film that we've discussed before on this podcast. When we talked
One.
about Creed, which I still have watched that film way too many times this year. But yes, in 1976, a small film came out called Rocky. And yeah,
What?
it probably still has to be my favorite sports film of all time. And it is so amazing. Every time I go back and watch that film, it's just amazing to hear about the story behind like Sylvester Stallone and how he made that Rocky and how he made it all happen and everything like that and how he had a dream. It's very inspirational, even as a young film writer and everything like that, to be like, hey, this guy had a passion, and it took him many years to get there, but he got there, and it turned into one of the
Did
biggest
it.
franchises in the world. So yeah, that's going to be my number 8.
I don't blame you. That's one of the greatest films ever made. And everyone's
Yeah,
seen it. Everyone knows Rocky.
yeah,
My cat
everyone
is
knows
named after
Rocky.
this movie.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
everyone knows Rocky.
everyone knows Rocky. Okay, so yeah, 1976. That's a good choice. All right, we each have 2 films left. This is a
Yeah,
tough one. I
this is a
I
tough
kind
one.
of want to. I want to pick films that we haven't talked about a lot.
Yep.
So I think I'm gonna grab another Western. This one's from
Ooh.
1972, and it's one
Yep.
that you also haven't seen. It's called Jeremiah Johnson. If you've seen the meme where the bearded guy in the snow, the cowboy looks and kind of nods to the camera. That's from this movie. It basically follows
Uh.
this guy who ends up living alone in the snow, and he runs into some Native Americans, and there's this conflict, and there's a bear and stuff in it. It's kind of like what was that one that Caprio was with the bear?
Revenant.
It's kind of like Revenant, but more classic Western,
Ah,
and done
okay.
40 years prior. So
Yeah, well, it's got
it's a
Robert
little bit
Redford
like
in it.
that.
So,
Yeah, man. It's got some big guys in it, and it's another one
yeah.
that kind of flew under the radar. Most people know it from the meme of the cowboy looking and nodding, so
Yep,
that's
yep, yep.
pretty much the legacy of this film. So,
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like,
I
people
highly
still might be
recommend checking
intrigued
it
to
out.
like be like, "Hey, where does that meme come from?" And then people still watch the film. So it's kind of a good thing.
Yeah, it is good, but yeah, it's a
Yeah,
really good movie, and you should definitely check it out because you'll like it. It's a good classic little western film.
I
Yeah,
will
very
definitely be adding that to my list.
standalone little western.
Yeah,
It's
well, I
my
just
number
realized that
nine.
it was Robert Redford, so I was like, "Oh, I actually should watch this now."
Yeah, I couldn't remember his name, so I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
That's my second last choice. What's
Second
yours,
last
Barry?
choice. Well, my second last choice is going to be a film I rewatched again last night, and I have seen this film quite a few times now. Um, Starring Marlon Brando, Martin Sheen, Dennis Hopper, Lawrence Fishburne, Harrison Ford. Apocalypse Now, 1979. Still
True.
such a wacky, trippy esque film, but it has its moments. It is still a very good film. I still can't get over how young Lawrence Fishburne is in it. I'm pretty sure he was only
Oh yeah.
17 at the time of making it. And yeah, even like Martin Sheen and everything like that. This is such like a wacky film. Well, even though everyone was on drugs, like everyone, what's the
Yeah,
behind the scenes of everything.
for sure.
And it was such like a pain in the butt for Francis Ford Coppola, because this is obviously
Yeah.
after he did Godfather and The Godfather Part 2. And there's the reason why, obviously, we haven't said them on the podcast because we did a whole dedicated podcast about The Godfather. We tried not to talk about them on our list, and the same thing as Star
Try
Wars
not
as
to.
well. Try not to. Try not to. But yeah, it's a good film. I wouldn't say that it was his best film. I still prefer, like, yeah, the Godfather ones more than this
Yeah,
and everything like that. But yeah,
I'd say the
it's still one
same.
of those films where it's interesting to watch. And especially like people who
Really
haven't
cool.
seen it and everything like that and don't know about the Vietnam War and everything like that. This has to be like the go-to Vietnam War film, essentially, because it really puts you in the mindset of what the
Yeah,
soldiers were like feeling and what was actually going on and all the political side to it all a bit. And yeah, and then it just gets wacky
yeah,
with it
yeah, yeah.
in parts.
That's
So
true. No, I would probably disagree with the fact that it's like the definitive Vietnam one. I'd probably throw that to Full Metal Jacket, Kubrick's film. I think that is
yeah,
probably
yeah,
my
yeah.
favorite Vietnam War movie. I feel like that portrays it really well in an even more unique way. But Apocalypse Now is definitely great. It has probably the greatest like opening 10 minutes of any movie ever with the helicopters and the doors playing and the in and out of seeing Mr.
Oh
Martin
yeah,
Sheen.
the
It's
soundtrack for this is
crazy.
just phenomenal.
So
But yeah,
good,
it is
man.
definitely just like it's a
Oh,
trippy
yeah.
esque film and everything like that. With what it
Yeah,
all meant to be about, and yeah, but no, definitely a must
uh,
watch. Especially if you're into cinema and everything
yeah.
like that. Yeah, definitely watch Apocalypse Now. So
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I definitely don't blame you for picking it. It's a good movie.
yeah,
Um, but now it's tough because this is my last film. I gotta think of
yes, and
something to
I
follow up
hope
that.
your last one isn't my last one because I have a feeling we might be thinking of the same one.
Ooh, I don't know. I'm kind of I've got a couple on my list that I'm joshing
Okay,
between.
okay, okay.
Um, so I think I'm gonna have to pick my favorite comedy of all time from
Oh, okay.
from a bunch of British guys who found their way
A
into
bunch of British
Jerusalem
guys.
once. It's called Monty
Yeah, we know where we're
Python's The
going.
Life of Brian
The
from
life of
1979, and this
Brian.
call him Brian. And this is one we've talked
Call
about
him
before, but
Brian.
I have to mention it because it's so good. It's really funny. It's the best of
Oh
the
yeah,
Monty Pythons, and that's saying something because all of Monty Python stuff is usually really funny
is
and
great.
clever.
Here's
But
an
yeah,
idea that I'm going to throw out to you now in the middle of the podcast. Just everyone's listening. We should
oh,
actually do a Monty Python podcast episode. We actually watch every single thing that they ever did
ooh,
and rate them.
we should. And we
We
could do it
should.
like Monty Python style. We'll put voices on and we'll just do jokes the whole time.
Yes, that would be great. That would be absolutely great. So future
Oh,
idea for
Barry,
podcast, everyone. On today's
today's
guest,
guest is
maybe
biggest
get some
dickers.
coconuts, get some biggest dickers.
And next week we'll have Incontinentia. Oh, that'd be
Yeah,
really
because
funny.
like same as like meaning of life and all their little skits and stuff
Oh
like that. I'm
yeah,
pretty sure it's all on Netflix
and
now
the
because they signed
Flying
like a
Circus.
contract or whatever. The Flying Circus. So yeah.
I have a box set of all of their movies, so I've got
Oh,
all
that's
four
cool.
of their
That's cool.
movies,
That's
including
cool.
which is best of Flying Circus as well, the show.
Yep.
So that's pretty much all of it. But they also did a bunch of other stuff on their own. Like Eric
Yeah.
Idle did the Ruttles, the mockumentary based around the Beatles,
That's
which I
right.
told you
Yep.
about.
Yep. Yep.
That's on YouTube. That's something that I'd recommend as like a fun little
Okay.
mockumentary. Check out
Yep.
the Ruttles. But yeah, number 10, Life of Brian. Do-do.
Yeah. Nice. That is a good number 10. So I suppose it's
Oh,
down to my number 10. And that's the thing,
oh,
1970s. Oh my gosh, what a decade. A lot of wonderful films came out. A lot of different films that I think changed cinema came out in the 70s. That's for sure. Because obviously you got films like
yes.
Star Wars and a lot of sci-fi-esque stuff and everything like that. But I would love to say Star Wars, but we've talked about Star Wars way too much on this podcast and everything like that.
Star
So
Trek.
I'm going to put it down to my second favorite film from the 70s. That's not Star Wars, but it's still sci-fi related. So there was a small
Oh,
film. You might have heard of it, Clayton. Came out in 79 called Alien.
what?
You might have heard of a little film called Alien.
Probably. Someone was screaming
Probably.
about it, but I couldn't hear him in
Yeah.
space.
No. Yes, this
Oh, it's
still
so good.
has to be one of the best. Well, for me anyway, it's definitely the number one best like sci-fi horror film to date. Still, the overall aesthetic, the theme to it, what Ridley Scott
Mm,
was trying to like make with this universe, and I love the Alien universe, man. Like I absolutely love it. I like go into lore and
it's
everything
so
for it.
cool.
And I always
So cool,
forget
man.
the artist that's behind it all, that it was all inspired of, like yeah,
Oh,
Krieger or
yes.
something like that. I actually want to get his
Oh,
art book because he's
yeah.
basically the same guy that did a lot of the stuff.
Name.
Well, like it's really weird abstract architecture and what he did and everything like that. But obviously, yeah, this was
It's like Geiger or something.
Geiger,
HR
yeah,
Geiger.
H.R. Geiger or something like that. But yes, it's
Something like that.
obviously Sigourney Weaver's first big film that she started and everything like that. This is the first ever like big female lead film for something like this.
Mm.
And she did a tremendous job for it, especially when like
She is
you are being there she is. And then yeah, also
with the
has a young
novelization.
John Hurt as well in it. And yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
this interesting idea of this
Yeah,
weird
too.
alien creature thing that's just going around murdering everyone. And then later, they obviously followed it up with a sequel where they kicked the aliens' butts and there was more of them and everything like that. But they've
Oh,
never been
yeah.
able to replicate their first alien film like ever again. That was like once in a lifetime, I think. It's like
Yeah, for
Jaws,
sure. I mean,
which we actually didn't say on our list.
whoa! That was definitely an
Whoa.
honorable mention. But, yeah, Alien is yeah, it's one of my favorite sci-fi movies, one of my favorite horror movies, one of my favorite movies. I love this one, and I
Yeah.
prefer it to the second one. I know a lot of
Yep.
people have the other
Yep.
way around, but I
No,
I love this
I
movie.
prefer
The
this.
whole
Yeah, I
thing,
prefer the first one more.
insane. It also leads into everything else. Like, I have the novelization to the movie. Like, Alien
Yeah.
Isolation, which is basically this
Yeah.
movie, the game, is one of my
Yeah.
favorite video games ever.
Yep.
This is my horror movie. This is one it's so good. I can't wrap my head around what makes it so good other than
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Well, that's the
Everything about
thing
this movie is
because
awesome.
hopefully, because we talked about in the news, I know a few weeks ago or whatever, that they actually finished wrapping up on the new Aliens film. And I forgot the
Woo!
new director and everything like that. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do now because Ridley Scott's not in charge of this new one that's coming out. He's kind of let
No.
it go to other people. So it's going to be quite interesting now to see what other people do with this franchise. And I want to see more of it. That's the thing. Like even though like the new films that came out like Prometheus and Alien Covenant and everything like that, even though they got a little bit weird and a little bit wacky and stuff like that, because he was trying to like rectify a lot of the things that he made in the older films.
Yeah,
I still kind of loved him in my own weird way. Like I still love the aesthetic of him. I loved
that's true.
mainly a lot of Michael Fassbender's performance as the robot guy in it.
Yes.
It was just like was
Mhm.
on top. Like he was just like the best thing out of
Definitely.
those films, really. And yeah, the spacesuit designs and everything like that. So yeah, no, it's really interesting franchise, and it all started with this little film. So
Oh, yeah. No, I'm very much a big fan. I love all the Alien movies. Even, like, Alien 3 and Resurrection, they're fun.
yep,
Alien versus
yep,
Predator is also fun too. They're not good, but they're fun.
yeah.
Yeah, and then it's crazy because like the first two are great movies, and then everything else is just fun, stupid,
Well,
sure.
here's
Don't
the
think
thing.
about it too much.
The Alien versus Predator films we don't cut. They're not canon, all right. They're not canon.
I know they're not canon, but they're fun. The
They're
second one in
fun.
particular, Requiem, I really do like Requiem. I
Yeah,
actually think
yeah.
that's a really good one. But yeah, I guess that brings us an end to the 70s, Barry. We're making
It
our way through
does bring us an
time.
end to the 70s. Yeah, yeah. So obviously there was a couple
I
honorable
like
mentions that we
wow.
didn't say. So obviously there was Jaws, the Star Wars film, and Godfather and stuff like that. But
Superman.
we've talked, yeah, Superman, but we've talked about those films before. And that's the thing, a lot of films in the 70s, and there's a lot of films in the 60s.
A lot
And
of
then
movies.
potentially, if we keep doing the decades, there's going to be a lot of
Oh,
films in the 80s. So, stay tuned
boy,
for that whenever that
not
comes out.
making it through the 80s.
We're not making it through the 80s. That's going to be a
Oh
long list. We're going to
god.
do like 20 each or something, man.
Oh, it'd be insane. It'd be like a 2-hour episode. I don't know if people will
Yeah.
listen to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know if I'll listen to that. That's excessive. We'll do a two-parter.
uh,
We need a guest on, and we'll do a
we
two-parter.
need a guest on. Yeah. Bring a guest on, change it up a bit. But yeah, I think that's where we shall leave it for today, Clayton. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for listening to the podcast yet again, everyone. So make sure to leave us down in the comments or wherever a list on who do you think had the better list, me or Clayton. You know, we want to find out. Let us know down below, and we'll see you in the next week's podcast. And now, welcome back to the director's cut, which I don't think will be too much of a director's cut.
No, not really.
Because I don't have anything to talk about. Oh, actually, I do have something to talk about.
Yeah, not really.
We didn't talk about it in the news.
Oh, he does.
I didn't want to like mention it just out there because it could have been quite a long discussion. But did you hear that now, because of all the strikes and actors' strikes and stuff like that, video game actors are now going on strike?
Did. I was tempted to mention it as well when I'm like, it doesn't really tie in.
So yeah,
when I saw that,
that's
I'm like,
just
like, makes sense.
That's a thing now that, you know, I'm glad that there's plenty of video games have come out already this year, because there's probably going to be a delay now on video games.
That's true.
Well, already they've been talking about.
We're getting Mortal Kombat 1 and we're getting Spider-Man 2. So I'm all right.
Yeah. So okay. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. I still got to play like Baldur's Gate. I know Starfield just came out today or yesterday.
Same.
So yeah.
Speaking of Baldur's Gate, my friend just messaged me. Apparently it's crossplay. So he was like, look into that, because he was messing with it. And he's like, yo, get Barry on here as well.
Ooh. I really want to play Baldur's Gate, but I'm just like, it's going to be a long game. It's going to be like 100-hour game. You know that, right? It's a long game.
It'd be a long YouTube series.
I mean, I need it, man. I need it. I need it because I'm still planning to do 365 videos next year. It's just like, fuck, that's a lot of videos. I have
Borderlands still installed.
Okay.
It's a lot of videos. Yes, so we'll look into that. We'll see. Yeah. It's just expensive.
I'm literally looking at it right now. Because yeah, it just came out on PS5 or whatever this week.
Today, actually, I saw it go up.
Today, look at that! Look at that!
Saw it go up.
There is no crossplay in Baldur's Gate.
Oh, why did he say there was?
This means when the PlayStation 5 version launches in early September, PS5 and PC players can't party up together. You goddamn bastards.
Oh, never mind. I'm gonna beat the shit out of him.
Okay, it works. Yeah, crossplay only works between Steam and GOG users and between Windows and Mac users. Who the fuck's playing Baldur's Gate on a Mac? Oh. If I find out anyone's playing that game on a Mac, I'm gonna come to your house and burn it down.
Yeah.
What's GOG?
It's fair. Oh my god.
Oh, that's like the online streaming thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, GOG's kind of just its own little thing. It's like DRM free, and they're kind of absent from all other things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've dabbled in GOG.
You've dabbled in GOG.
All right.
Do you ever dabble in G2A?
I've dabbled. I did, because that lets you get some GOG games.
Ooh.
I've dabbled on that.
Because I was associated with G2A at one point as well, and then I realized they were doing some naughty things, and I was like, I don't want to be associated with you anymore.
Yes. They do that. That's okay.
They do that. That's okay. That's fine. Well, that's the director's cut, everyone. Yeah, thanks for sticking around. That's all the news we have. Goodbye. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Love you.